There's no better place to end my time in the apple aisle than right here in apple country. Later, I'll be in Port Arthur visiting McHenry's Distillery, but first, it's time for some cider. My name is Yazmin, and this is Last Drinks Tasmania. It's time to kick off one last road trip across Tassie, and today we depart Kempton, head south through Hobart and make our way back to Grove in the Huon Valley. Here I'm dropping into one of Tasmania's most well-loved cideries, the historic Willie Smith's. I'm catching up with one of their main cider makers, Malcolm, who's going to kick things off with a tour through their incredibly old orchard. So tell me, who is Willie Smith?
So Willie Smith was the great-grandfather of the current owner, Andrew. So Willie Smith was a person himself, and he was the one who came around here in 1888 and planted some of the first apples down here. Perfect place for it. It had the acreage, it had the knowledge, so he thought, why not, Tasmania's got a massive apple industry back then, or it was growing, and he just wanted to get a slice of the pie, and so went around planting some of the first trees down here on the orchard, which we still run and manage.
The Huon Valley is known for being one of the purest and most untouched places on Earth. It's even been recognised as having the cleanest air in the world. That's a pretty good spot to have an orchard, I'd say. Are there any trees here, like original trees that were planted back then?
There might not be the original tree, but obviously the root stock has really, gone into the ground. So what they'll do is they'll graft them. So they might have cut the top of the tree off and put a different variety or the same variety, just a bit more of a healthier tree. Obviously, a couple hundred years old, it gets to a point where they might need sort of rejuvenating or a bit more life adding back into them.
Yeah, fair, don't we all?
Well, yeah.
Hey, it's been a long trip.
So these ones that we're walking through here, these are probably pink ladies. The major ones that we grow, pink ladies, Royal Galas and Fuji's. They're culinary apples, obviously.
Yeah.
That you can buy in your Woolworths, Coles. Yeah. And then we do grow other like cider apples, which we only specifically use to make cider.
Right.
And these aren't apples that you would necessarily want to eat.
Yeah.
So we've got a fair bit of a diversity. Like I say, there's thousands of variety of apples, each one unique, and they are developing more and more and more each day.
Yeah.
So it is forever expanding on what varieties you can get and what you can do with them.
And is that through grafting that
Yep,
the
so
varieties expanding?
grafting, in labs, they'll look at them. The really interesting thing is let's say you take the seed out of a pink lady and you plant it, you won't get a pink lady apple tree that'll grow out of it. You'll get something completely different.
Oh, wow.
It's really random, which is why they'll plant the trees to get a good rootstock, they'll lob it, and then they'll graft onto the top of it the tree that they want.
Okay.
Royal Galas, pink ladies, or Fuji's. But again, there are thousands of varieties that you can play around with.
Willie Smith's became an organic orchard in 1997, and their sustainable approach to farming also includes a focus on ensuring none of their apples are left to waste.
Well, there's always going to be apples that don't meet the grade type to be able to go onto the counters. Everyone likes to look at like a really nice looking fruit to buy.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're not always going to get all of those on a tree, so you're going to get second grades, third grades, blah, blah, blah. So rather than wasting them, cider's obviously a recycling for those apples that you can't necessarily sell, but they make great cider. So It's just a way of using everything of the apple, and we're really big on using everything that we can. So when we press the apples, all the mulch goes to local farmers for feed for their cattle. Any cider base, so base being the completely fermented out juice, if it doesn't meet our criteria or specifications that we want, we'll actually send it down to our distillery so we can then distill it and put it in barrels and age it to make brandy. We also make a Blanco, which is a white apple spirit. And then all the lees that we get out of the tank, so lees being like the sediment that falls out of the cider, like all the yeast cells and fruit matter that's still in there, we then put back through the orchard because it's full of nutrients and bee numbers and stuff. So, you know, we're literally recycling and reusing every part of the apple from start to finish.
Fantastic, so no waste.
No waste, no waste.
I love that. Now, did I hear Malcolm say apple brandy?
So, the first one is the apple brandy. The apple Blanco. So this is the first product that comes through the taps.
Okay, so it hasn't been barreled at all?
No, this is not barrel. This is essentially your vodka equivalent.
Okay, just a little bit. It's like an apple vodka.
Yeah,
Kind of,
exactly. Yeah. So it's got those delicious soft apple notes on the nose. So if you smell it from up high, you can really smell the actual apple flavour. The closer you get, the more you get that aggressive heat from any spirit.
What percent would that be sitting at?
This one's 43.
At this level?
Yeah,
Okay, right.
43% alcohol. It's designed as a premium mixer, notably. So we don't just give it to you like this and get you making them all day because you get yourself in trouble.
Less sessionable than your side.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they are a magic thing, yeah. So the beauty of this one is it's very alcoholic, but it's not very sweet yet.
Yeah.
So the great thing about that is you can introduce whatever sweetness you like if you want it to be a sweet cocktail. I recommend just like this or on soda water, but anything citrus-based is awesome.
Oh, it's nice and dark.
Yeah, so this is an amazing thing. So the Pomo is your apple liqueur. So it's your...
Oh, this smells delicious.
This one is designed to be drank like this. So it's re-sweetened with really sweet apple juice. So we grow the sweetest apples we can. We crush them up, make an amazing juice out of them. We freeze that, remove the iceberg as it's defrosting, and then so you get a beautiful natural concentrate of this insanely sweet apple juice.
Okay.
And then it's introduced into essentially your brandy, which gives you all of this delicious sweetness. So give this a taste.
That is amazing.
Isn't that great?
As that hasn't got alcohol in it.
There's a lot of alcohol.
Is it?
This is 18.2%. So it's surprisingly alcoholic.
Yeah.
But it's not overtly,
No.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
That was delicious. More Last Drinks Tasmania after the break. Throughout this whole series, I've been taken by the sense of community that exists down here in Tasmania, and that spirit is certainly strong here at Willie Smith's.
In Tasmania, it's such a small place in comparison to the mainland and stuff, so everyone's always happy to help each other out, whether, it's produce, whatever it is, and, getting approached by people, we will always, help as much as we can and offer any knowledge that needs going.
I hear you have some nice cold cider for me to try.
Oh, hell yeah, it wouldn't be a day like this if we didn't have some nice cold cider to try, and a big variety of different ones. So yeah, let's go taste some cider.
Let's taste some cider. Okay, what are we going to try?
So I've got a few here for you, which I guess just showcases what we can do, or what anyone can really do with apples, from culinary apples to cider variety apples. So
perfect. Yeah. Let's do it. I'll let you pour them.
Oh yeah.
You are the professional expert. I am the expert drinker.
Expert drinker, I like
pourer. First up, time to try Willie Smith's organic cider.
So we've been certified organic since '96. The orchard has, and the cider has been certified organic since we started it 8 years ago.
Okay, so you first got certified as organic in the 90s.
Yeah.
That would have been groundbreaking back then.
Yeah, it was. The owner at the moment, Andrew, had sort of gone away and realised that the only way to really boost apple sales was to do something that no one else was really doing, which was unheard of, which was to go organic. So going organic was quite a big step for them, but they did it and it worked, and people were like, organic, and yeah.
Let's try it.
Cheers.
It's a big taste.
We use culinary apples in this one, so there's Royal Galas, Pink Ladies and Fuji's, and it's just a blend of all of them. And then we ferment it, And then we'll blend it with blend back, so basically fresh apple juice. When we press, we'll put an amount of it to one side, and then when we blend our cider, we'll add the juice back into it. That gives it the sweetness, but because it's only a small percentage, you still get that dryness, and it just leaves fresh, crisp, dry. You know, there's no lingering characters, and it makes you want to drink more because you're like, I'm a bit slightly parched again. I'll drink more.
It's very Moorish.
Yeah, it's really sessionable. Yeah. It's a great showcasing cider. It's sessionable. You know, you can really enjoy it. It's craft. We don't filter, so obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of haze through it. We like to keep as much of the apple present in there. What's the point in stripping out those apple characters and bits of fruit matter? Because all you're doing there is you're just getting rid of flavour that, you know, brings a lot to the table.
There's a lot to it than just mashing up some apples, isn't it?
Massively.
Okay, what's next?
So the next one I got for you is our traditional. So this is the same style of cider, Normandy style again.
Yep.
So it's going to start off sweet, it's going to dry off. But what this one is supposed to do is this is showcasing cider apples. Now when I talk about cider apples, I'm talking about apples that are specifically grown to make cider. And they've been grown for thousands and thousands of years. The English and the French have been doing it for eons.
Right.
And what this is showing what the difference is between, you know, culinary apples and cider apples. Like I said, you wouldn't eat them. They're really astringent, so bitter, tannic, which you know, are certain polyphenols in the apple that make it quite chalky and dusty.
Yep.
But when you turn them into cider, you get so many beautiful aromatics and textures, flavors, and they just go on for ages. There's loads of different categories of them, from bitter sweets, bitter sharps. There are so many layers that come through on this, and it is such a sessionable drink at the same time.
Okay. Smells sweet.
So it will start off sweet, and it does have a bit more what is residual sweetness.
Yeah.
So that's basically in apples or in any fruit. You've got fermentable sugars and non-fermentable sugars. Honestly, it's a journey in itself, each mouthful of this. It's great cider. So it's a bit different. It's got the same style, it does start off sweet.
Yeah.
But that like astringent finish, you know, that bitterness, that bit of acid on that just lingers beautifully. And I find the more I drink through a can, you get different flavors because it's so layered. You know, you might miss something and then you take another sip and you sit there and mull on it and you're like, wow, that's, you know, it is a massive journey.
A journey I am loving, by the way.
So this is just fermented out Yarlington Mill apples. We've fermented them out to dry, and then we've added a tiny bit of juice just to, you know, give it a bit more sessionability, because when they're dry, they're really quite dry.
Yeah.
And the tannins can get a bit intense, but we'll only add a minuscule amount in there just to give it some freshness. And just to make it, again, more sessionable.
You're all about the session.
All about the session.
Gotta be about the session. Woo! Oh, here we go.
We've got a gusher. So just starting off,
quite
the colour,
orangey.
the colour of it is beautiful. You know, it stands out. It's bright.
Yeah.
You know, it actually, you know, makes you sit and mull on it, and you think that this is an amazing colour, smells amazing, good palate. Well, you can find out for yourself and make your own judgment of it. But yeah, one of my favourites.
It's really fragrant.
Yeah, really floral.
Yeah.
Really floral, flowery. You know, you almost get like bitter citrus fruits like grapefruit and stuff on there. Obviously, you get the apple on there, but it's fresh and it really stands out. And I prefer drinking these when they're slightly warmed up a bit. When they're cold, they're just a bit tight and crisp. But, you know, almost like a red wine. You just let it breathe for a bit, and it just all these flavors just start opening up, and all these aromatics. It's delicious. I find the drier a product, you get a lot more flavour and complexities that come out of it. Yeah, you can add some sweetness to it, and it gives it freshness and more of the apple character to it. But the more you add, you start getting away, like I say, from that end result, and you actually just end up, you know, making something that someone on a commercial scale could make. And you know, it's non-concentrate. We grow all our own apples. We ferment them all down here. The whole The whole production happens down here, and it really sings with the single variety apples.
Willie Smiths have their very own cider club, and after drinking and chatting to Malcolm all afternoon, I think they just found themselves a new club member. Malcolm, thank you so much for teaching us all about Willie Smiths and for the tasting.
Anytime. Thank you for coming down, and thank you for enjoying yourselves.
Thank you. How good is this? I've got a charcuterie board full of Tassie produce. The pate even has their own cider in it. And I've got a tasting paddle that I'm gonna dig into so you guys can skedaddle. After drinking ciders in the sun, it's time for us to head across the state to the historic town of Port Arthur on Tassie's southeast coast. We'll be making our final stop at McHenry Distillery, perched on the Mount Arthur Range. They're known for their amazing whiskies and broad range of gin, and I'm catching up with the man himself, Bill McHenry.
15 years ago, my neighbour and I were having a conversation over a glass of red, and we were talking about careers post 50. So I was creeping up on 50 and wondering if I needed a change. And he suggested that with a name like William Fraser McHenry, I should learn the bagpipes and make whiskey. And I fell in love with the idea. And so fast forward 15 years, I'm here, learning the bagpipes badly, but making good whiskey.
You're gonna play the bagpipes for us later?
If you're naughty, I will. We sort of started in the craft distilling industry really at the right time, when the tide was lifting, making good products. Being in Tasmania makes a big help, because I think Tasmania's got a reputation for making really exquisite, fine, foods and spirits, and so
Definitely.
the right place at the right time.
And you're not just doing whiskey though?
No, look, as much as whiskey's a big part of what we do, we make more whiskey in any day than anything else. We actually make a lot of gin.
Yeah.
We also make brandy. We're about to make some rum, and we make a Chinese spirit called baijiu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you're kind of tapping into a lot of different areas.
Yeah. Any business, you got to diversify. Plus also, we're still, our distillers and myself still youngish and want to be intellectually challenged. So it's always good to try making new things to see what we can make well.
And it allows a nice creative process for you as well. You're not being stuck in just doing the same thing all the time. You challenge yourself creatively.
That's
and I
right.
think gin is a really great way of exploring that as well.
Gin is one category, but within the gin category, there's just hundreds of different styles you can make. So you can go wild.
Yeah. And Tasmania is wild, isn't it?
Have a look here.
Where we are right now is amazing. Speaking of gin, I thought I'd pop into the cellar door and say hi to Charlie. Charlie, you have a big selection of gins and some whiskies here. We're going to try a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about them.
I'll start you off on the Federation.
Yep.
So this one here is a Federation of botanicals from each state and territory of Australia, and it's foraged by local Indigenous community from some of those areas.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so it is a bit more savoury than a classic London dry style gin, just because we are using more leaves and sticks and roots than we are flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get that earthy sort of texture from it. So we got Tas celery top pine, strawberry gum from New South Wales, cinnamon myrtle from Queensland, ACT mountain pepperberry. South Australia is using acacia, Fondant from WA, Northern Territory, Kakadu plum. Yeah.
Wow.
So left hand out there, Victoria lemon myrtle.
Just the Tas?
Yeah, celery top pine, yeah.
Okay, wow. So just a little bit from everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like the taste of Australia.
Yeah, that's it.
Along with the Federation Gin, McHenry Distillery have a massive range which includes saffron gin, butterfly pea blossom gin, and Charlie's favourite, the classic slow gin.
Which is our pride and joy.
Okay.
Yeah, it took World Gin Awards for 2020 for Best Australian Slow. And we also get our slow berries from Joseph Cromie, which is in Tassie, so
local.
It's local. We try and keep it local where we can.
Yep.
I'll give you a bit of this one. You will notice port characteristics in this one, and 23%, so adult fruit juice. Yeah.
Perfect. Adult cordial.
Yeah, that's it. Bit too easy to drink. And if you don't want to drink it neat, it's always good with a bit of champagne.
Ooh.
Slow Royale.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that works for the damson as well.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Very easy to drink. It is a trap. You got to be careful.
Don't mind me.
Yeah. And if you like that, I'd say you'd like the damson as well. So
let's give it a go.
damson is a large plum, about the size of your thumbnail, depending on the size of your thumb.
Much sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, really good with champagne.
And again, really good.
Yeah. Well, we try not to make anything too bad.
Do we have a bottle of champagne around? Give that a go.
Oh, I wish. Yeah.
Don't we all? More gin and whiskey after the break.
So we selected this particular property for two reasons. The conditions here, it's you can sort of make out there's a little bit of a haze in the air.
Yep.
That's all humidity. So the average humidity here all year round is between 65 and 75%, so it's really high. But it's a temperate humidity, not like a tropical humidity.
Yep.
It's ideal for aging spirits, so whiskey is an aged spirit.
Yep.
And the other secret ingredient is our spring water. So this property we're on here has 5 natural springs. In fact, one was just over there in the trees.
Okay.
And we draw all of the water for our distillery out of these springs. It's soft, it's sweet, it's as pure as it gets.
Wow,
it's lovely. Yeah. So the water it makes the heart of the spirit, and the environment helps us really mature. Have an ideal maturation for the spirit that goes in the barrel.
And you're coming up to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, we moved the family here 2 weeks ago, 10 years ago.
Right.
So
10 year must be a big milestone in...
For whiskey it is. Yeah. So whiskey tends to hit its sweet spot at 10, 12, 15 years. And so we've been waiting for this day when we can release a 10-year-old whiskey. That's pretty special, because if you have a look at the whiskey landscape in Australia, there's not many whiskey distilleries doing a 10-year-old, so ours will be pretty special.
And when can we expect that to be on the shelves?
About mid-year, October.
Okay, something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll be telling people about it, don't worry.
I thought it might be time to catch up with the other Bill at McHenry's, head distiller William Ravenscroft. Bill, you're the distiller at McHenry Distillery.
I am, yes. I do all of the distillation here.
Yeah? Walk me through, tell me a little bit about your distillery.
Well, this is our whiskey and brandy still.
Okay, there's some beautiful smells coming from here.
Yeah, it's doing a whiskey spirit run today.
Okay.
So we're turning 1,000 litres of what we call low wines into approximately 200 litres of this stuff. This is the good stuff here, which we took out earlier.
Okay, so this is the heart.
It is. You can see how beautifully clean and clear it is.
It's like there's not even a liquid there. It's
That's
so
right.
clear.
It's about 66% ethanol.
Okay.
And this is the tail coming off, the faint. And as you can see, that's a little more funky and dirty.
Yeah.
It gets a lot of this copper sulfate residue in it.
And that comes from inside the still there.
That's right, the copper comes from the still.
Yeah.
And the sulfur comes from the raw product. It's good to take that out.
Yeah, okay.
So this will be recycled through the next run. Yeah.
Oh, and then you just reprocess it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wasting it.
So this is our stock standard size barrel, the 200 litre ex-bourbon.
Yeah.
This one's recently been filled.
It's full.
Yeah, and it smells really good. Try that.
Oh, that smells really good. Now that I've seen how the whiskey is made, it's time to get back to Charlie for a taste.
So whiskey actually comes, the definition of the word is essentially water of life. And when you work out here and it's winter, you rock up and there's snow on top of the hill and you have a sip of that beside the still when it's hot, it adds a bit of life.
It's the water of life.
It is the water of life, yeah. So generally with whiskey, you roll that one under your nose, you'll find a dominant nostril. One will pick up more scent than the other. That'll open up the back of that palate for your first sip. So when you have your first little sip, let it sit in there for a while, get those flavours and then swallow.
I didn't know about the dominant nostril.
I picked that one up working with rum.
Okay, but
But it works just as well for whiskey.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone has a dominant nostril. Yeah.
I still don't know which of my nostrils is the dominant one, but I do know that both nostrils enjoyed what they smelled, and that's a sentence I never thought I'd have to say out loud.
So Beta is part of our Southern Cross series, which was a limited release. So our Alpha has come and gone. Our Beta is here at the moment, and then our Gamma will be getting bottled soon.
Okay.
So there's a different, you notice a different label there. It is a different run to just our general single malt.
It's like, I'm getting Christmas cake,
Yeah?
fruit cake,
Yeah.
like those.
There's the raisin.
Rum and raisin, the nuts,
Yeah.
the fruits.
Yeah.
These whiskies are top notch. I could do this all day. Charlie, thank you so much for the tasting of the gins and the whiskies. Thank you for getting me slightly tipsy in the morning. It's great.
No worries, anytime.
Thank you.
We're open 7 days a week, so.
It's true, they are. And if you find yourself down this way, I'd recommend stopping by to say hi to Charlie.
So we're set on the Tasman Peninsula in the midst of, you can see all natural forest, 100 acres of our own land, essentially just surrounded by a forest. We've got this tiny little bit of paradise carved out for ourselves on top of Mount Arthur. So we get the sweeping winds from the Southern Ocean coming over those hills there. And they're the clouds. They bring the clouds with them that drop that beautiful sweet rainwater,
Yeah,
which basically feeds our springs.
perfect. All right, let's go have a little walk around.
Okay, let's see.
Before I leave Bill, we're going to take a look at one of the natural springs he's incredibly lucky to have on his property.
It's hard to believe, but looking at it, but that little spring yields about 5 million litres of water a year. 5 million.
Wow.
So it's flowing constantly every day, never stops. So,
Perfect for you.
you know, 40, 50 litres a minute multiplied by
Yeah.
by hours in the day and days in the year, you get a lot of water. So it's soft, it's sweet. It's basically been filtered by the sandstone. This is all sandstone
Yep.
here. And it comes out really, really
Fresh.
sweet. Yeah.
So you've got your main ingredient free flowing in your backyard.
I know, yeah. And
Perfect.
It just sort of makes our spirit, I think, a little bit more unique.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right there. Can I try some if it's
go
fresh?
for it. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Look, I'll just,
The hard bit is just so.
Sweet. You're right. It's so fresh. And how fitting. The last drop of liquid I was lucky enough to taste on this trip came straight from one of Tassie's world-famous freshwater sources. And that sums up our journey, really. Everywhere we went, people told us about what made Australia's Apple Isle so great. Its fresh water, its pure air, its unspoiled, rugged landscapes. Through our travels, we learnt that they weren't making any of it up. Tasmania is, in our opinion, one of the country's best kept secrets. I hope you've enjoyed our 6-week adventure across Tasmania, and we look forward to taking you on another wild ride soon.